Smallville, my favorite series ever. And I'm not over exaggerating that either. Like, this is literally my favorite TV series I've ever watched. I just watched it for the first time last year. We got all 10 seasons on DVD. I binge watched the whole thing. And I am so glad I did that because I just absolutely love this series. And if you haven't seen Smallville yet, I definitely recommend checking it out. I think it's on Hulu right now. So if you have Hulu and you haven't seen it, then definitely go check it out. But this was basically like the Arrowverse before the Arrowverse was created, and this was like all the characters in one show. Like, of course, it was focusing on Superman and Clark Kent, but we had characters on here like Green Arrow, Dr. Fate, Aquaman, and all these other characters squished into this one show, and then it basically laid the groundwork for the Arrowverse that we know today. And I love the Arrowverse. I absolutely love it, but I still love Smallville even more. That's why I was really excited when we got that cameo from Tom Welling and Erica Durance during the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, which kind of like ended their storylines and like just wrapped it all up a bit. People's opinions on the ending is a little divisive. I'm okay with it. But today, it seems like that may not be the end of Smallville, possibly, because Smallville might be getting an animated sequel series on the CW. So this news is coming from WeGotThisCovered.com. I'll leave the article linked down in the description below. But they are basically saying that there's talks of a revival happening every now and again. But they have heard from their sources that the same ones that told us that Ben Affleck would be returning as Batman in The Flash, and that a Justice League Dark show is coming to HBO Max, which both are 100% true, that the network are seriously considering a return to the world of Smallville. But unfortunately, it won't be coming back in live action. So that part does suck about this. If this does end up being true, it wouldn't be live action. But, I mean, it's Smallville, so I don't care if it's live action or animated. It's Smallville. I'll be happy. But according to their intel, talks have started behind the scenes surrounding the idea of an animated sequel series based on the Season 11 comics, dependent on the cast's willingness to return. So you may be wondering what the Season 11 comics are. Because Smallville, of course, got 10 seasons, an amazing, fantastic 10 seasons. But then after that, they continued the story on in kind of a Season 11, but it was a comic series, and it was literally called Smallville Season 11, and basically showed what would have happened on the show if it continued on. And it basically showed what Clark Kent as Superman, and he had officially become Superman, and he teamed up with the Green Lanterns, and the Justice League was officially formed. Batman was in there, and the Titans, and basically everything that couldn't be done on the show for legal reasons, like putting Batman in there and Wonder Woman and characters like that. It basically happened in this comic series. I haven't read them personally, but from what I've heard, they're pretty good. Now, it does also say dependent on the cast's willingness to return, and yeah, I completely agree with that, because like, even if one cast member doesn't want to return, if it's a major character that you need for this show, then just don't do it. Like, there's no way they're going to recast this, because if Tom Welling doesn't want to come back and do this and voice Clark Kent, then don't do the show. Like, don't recast him. Like, that'd just be stupid, because then what's the point of doing this if you can't get Tom Welling? So they have to get the cast. Obviously, we're not getting Allison Mack in here as Chloe, because, you know, all that stuff. But I have no doubt that this would be a complete success. Although it would be interesting seeing an animated series on the CW. I'm not sure if they've done that before. I know they've done multiple animated series on the CW Seed, but those are usually like swept under the rug. Like, they make them and they advertise them, but once they come out, like, nobody watches them and nobody ever mentions them, because it's on the CW Seed, and like, nobody watches the CW Seed, although it is free. So if that's the case, then you can still watch it. But it'd be interesting to see an animated Smallville series on the CW, and I'd absolutely love for this to happen, and it would be taking place before the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover part. So if we're considering that canon, then this animated series would be taking place in between those. So maybe the final scene of the series would be something similar to what we saw in that Crisis on Infinite Earths cameo. And spoiler alert if you haven't seen that yet, but it was revealed that Clark had given up his powers, and maybe we could see how that happened and stuff. But this is good, and actually it being animated brings us so many more possibilities, just like what they were able to do in that comic series that they weren't able to do on the actual series as itself, like Batman, like Green Lanterns, like the Justice League, like Wonder Woman. So there's just so many more possibilities here, and especially with it being animated, they're a lot more likely to get these actors back, because you literally just have to go in a studio or just record your voice, send it in, and then boom, you got it. Like, you don't have to like memorize your lines or figure out your acting and stuff. It's just your voice. So hopefully the cast would be up to doing this, and I'm hoping this is true, but then again, this is coming from We Got This Covered, and if I'm being honest, they're usually wrong most of the time, and they're not a very reliable source. So definitely take this with a major grain of salt. But if there is any chance of this actually happening, I'm all for it, and I would absolutely love to see this. If it does actually happen, we probably wouldn't get it until like at least the end of 2021. I don't know. But this would just open up so many possibilities to see the return of these characters and these voice actors, and this just gets me really excited. And now I actually want to go back and rewatch Smallville again, because now I'm just in Smallville mood. So this is definitely some exciting news if it does end up being true. But then again, like I said, We Got This Covered, so who knows? But if we do get any official updates on this, I'll definitely keep you updated on this and make a new video about it if there is anything official released or announced. So definitely stay tuned for that, maybe, possibly in the coming months. But let me know down in the comments below how much you love Smallville or don't love Smallville, depending on how you feel about it, although I don't know why you wouldn't love it. And also, if this does actually end up happening, what would you like to see from an animated series of Smallville taking place in between the Smallville 10 seasons and the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover cameo? So, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit that subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.